All right, so the next thing on the list is to clean up the wiring. So I have no idea if this was original or not, but this this duct tape was wrapped around the defroster vent coming off of the heater box. This stuff is, I mean, look at the gap between the ducting. I mean, is that a factory? This duct tape that I've got in my hand is so brittle. It is definitely old. I mean, it's just kind of cracking and falling apart. Who knows? That could have been an original fix to a factory problem. So my plan to rebuild the clock is not going as I expected. Equipment is jammed, and I think this is just more than I want to bite off. So I'll put this in a box and order a replacement component. So the old parking brake console had some damage to it, and somebody actually tried to repair it. And I wasn't going to try to mess with it again. It's just time to get a new one. So transferring all the hardware to the new one. So I've already got the brake slide installed and the window operators. All right, so we're getting a little closer. The interior is essentially 95% done. I've got everything fixed. The stereo is now completely hooked up. I took it to the Sound Depot in Garden City, Idaho. Had them actually reinstall it, but do it. They have a reputation for doing quality work. Very impressed with it. So, I mean, the way that they bundled the wires to the system, they gave me enough slack. You know, they bundled the wires well. They gave me enough slack that I can actually, you know, fit the unit, the head unit back up in there. They shrink wrapped all of the connections. Very, very pleased with what they did, and cleaned up the wiring so much. So like I said, you end up putting things together multiple times. At least that's in my case. Must not be that good. Here's the dash. I just took this the dash panel back out because my vent lever was binding up, and as you can see back in there. So I put new weather strips on here so that they would actually seal, because they didn't actually seal before. Anyway, the cool thing about what Chevrolet did is right here there is an adjustment in that. This twists, and it either lengthens or shortens the cable. I viewed that as a lubricating point for that cable. And so what I did, unfortunately you can't pull the ends out and expose the ends of the cable that are inside of there. So what I did, I drilled a hole in this adjustment and took dry graphite lubricant and sprayed it in there, and voila, my problem solved. So I can get to, sorry about the glare, so I can get to this, that adjustment. I can also get up under here to spray where this cable enters the housing up here. Anyway, seems to work, although the full range of movement is not quite what I've got over on this side. At least it still works. I'm still a little bit short right there, and I'm not sure what to do about it. Okay, the next thing to do is I want to make sure up is up and down is down, that I've got the switches installed correct. So I'm going to turn the battery on, turn the ignition on, and this should be up. So, and the other side. I think we're good. All right, taking the parking brake console out for the umpteenth time. So my new Glide, for whatever reason, it needs to run under the dash, under the console when it's in the down position. And it's bound up. You can see how it's all folded. So I do have one more brand new Glide if I can't salvage this one. It doesn't look good when it's all bent up like that. But I got to figure out why it's not traveling up under the dash, under the console. So it could be just some wires in the way. I don't really know, but I'll get it figured out. Pain in the butt. Oh, and one more thing. About 1,000 times during this install, because everything is so tight and just literally inaccessible, I have found this tool to be my most valuable tool. It is a bendy screwdriver, and I have to tell you, you put a socket on the end of it, you can put a screwdriver on the end of it, whatever you need, but this has been a lifesaver. Allowed me to come back in and tuck up underneath the console to get those bolts. Incredible. All right, so as I showed you earlier, it's all bound up. There is some sticky stuff that is not allowing it to glide well, and I can't really find a way to clean that sufficiently since it's installed, and I had a hard enough time getting it installed. I'm not going to take it apart. So I think what I'm going to try to do is, I have some plastic pallet skid material. I'm actually going to try to cut, and it's super thin, I'm going to try to cut a sheath of it that can be used as basically as the bottom glide, and I think there's enough sticky stuff on that insert in there that it'll stay in place, and I'll cut it large enough that it will. I'll let you know how it goes. So here it is installed, and what I ended up doing is putting one screw, you can't see that because of the glare, but one screw right there to just hold it in place, and it'll move a little bit, but I think that will give me the runway that I need so that doesn't bind anymore. And I ran it far enough up here, there's no restriction there. I think that's going to be good. I don't think this is going to interfere with anything. So give it a shot. All right, so we are virtually done. I mean, everything's on, the finish is in, buttons are on the radio, dials are on the knob is on the clock. I've got to put the new wood grain faceplate on, and the shift knob on, and a few other minor things. But you got the driver's seat in. And one challenge that I'm still having, because of the Dynapad that I put under the carpet, I increased the thickness of it. And I mentioned that I cut out, thinned out the material here along each rail. But I am still too frickin' short. The damn bolts are just a tiny bit too short. It's just frustrating as hell. Oh, and look, I've got the old carpet up on the deck. Really happy with how that turned out. And there's Dynapad up there as well, so really trying to cut down the noise, make this sound like a modern car, or ride and drive like a modern car. All right, so this was the last bit that I was going to do. So I do have the wood grain insert in, but here's the problem. I'm not impressed with this wood grain insert. It went in fine, and it's cut very well, but the adhesive on the back is not particularly great, and I wiped this down with alcohol first, to make sure I had a good clean surface to bond to, and it really was a bear to get to stick. And I ended up using a block of wood, just a very small, not even a block of wood, more like a piece of dowel, and with a rag. I used the rag, laid the rag over the top, then I used the dowel to press down in these areas that I couldn't reach very well with my fingers. And I marred it. It's way softer than what it ought to be. And the other thing is the screw holes, you have to remove the screws before you put the wood grain insert down. And then when you go to put the screws back in, there's enough misalignment that it causes it to want to buckle up here. So it wants to raise because of this screw and that screw. So just FYI, if that's something that you're thinking of doing. I think that given what I've got here, I may actually at some point look into the real wood grain or the wood laminate and do both the center console and the door panels. But I'm put my vent knobs back on and I'm done, and I'm going to go for a drive.